The Golden State Warriors knew exactly what they were doing. As you all know, the Warriors have turned things around over the last couple of games, where they most recently beat the Portland Trailblazers 106 to 110. In today's video, we're going to be going through the 5 big reasons why the Golden State Warriors are back to their winning ways and are slowly getting their way back into the NBA playoffs, which can help them win another NBA championship. So make sure to like this video, and guys, 92% of you are still not subscribed to the channel, so it means the world if you can subscribe to the channel, hitting that red button down below. The first is none other than Draymond Green becoming a better scorer. Now, as you all know, Draymond Green wasn't too much of a scorer last season, where he was averaging under 10 points, but as of recent, he has definitely stepped it up. Not only has he had such great scoring games, where he did have a game where he shot a lot more threes than usual, hitting 4+ threes, but in this most recent game, he definitely got to the basket quite a lot and also to the free throw line, which is what we love to see. When it came to Draymond Green in this game, he actually had himself 10 points, 10 rebounds, and 9 assists, while also getting 2 blocks. Now, he didn't finish off the triple-double, but he still did get a double-double, which I think is fantastic, and the fact that he did it on such efficiency, shooting 3 from 7 from the field and went 4 from 4 from the free throw line, I think is fantastic to see. I do believe Draymond Green needs to continue to become a better scorer, not just because we expect, 10, 15, 20 points from Draymond, but it does free up a lot of the other players to be able to score. You definitely see when players start to guard Draymond Green, they tend to sag off. They can help, someone like Wiggins, Curry, or Thompson when it comes to playing defense on them much easier, since Draymond isn't too much of a scorer. But now that he is shooting the 3 ball, he is getting to the basket when he can, and he is, doing what he can on the offensive side of things, it definitely does help space out the floor better, and also just adds another scorer to the mix. When it comes to Draymond, I think he's a fantastic spot up shooter, which is great to see, but his finish ability at the ring is definitely second to none. And I think Draymond can definitely keep this up into the postseason, especially if he continues to play this way. I definitely see Draymond averaging around 10 to 15 points so far this season, due to the fact that there are so many other big scorers in this team, but I do believe if he does average around those numbers, we can definitely see ourselves in a great position when it comes playoff time. On top of that, having Draymond out for some time due to the thing that did cause him to get suspended, which we aren't going to talk about in this video, but when it came to that, he definitely felt the defensive presence took a huge cut, and I think this time around with Draymond now back in the lineup for a couple of games, you definitely feel the difference on the defensive side of things and the way the defense moves, especially for the Golden State Warriors. So it is great to have him back, and his leadership on defense is definitely felt. The second is Jonathan Kuminga stepping up on the bench. Now, I think this is fantastic, but Jonathan Kuminga is now starting to become the great role player that the Warriors definitely need. As you all know, Jordan Poole did leave for the Washington Wizards, and we did get in exchange for Chris Paul. Now, Chris Paul, he is a great point guard, but CP3 isn't too much of a scorer, and this gave a huge opportunity for someone like Jonathan Kuminga to finally be able to give that limelight to. He did get 17 minutes in this game, and in those 17 minutes, he got 13 points. Now, that may not sound like a lot, but when you look at it, he went 6 from 6 from the field and also went 1 from 2 from the free throw line, which was absolutely fantastic. On top of this, he got himself 1 rebound, 1 assist, and also 2 steals, which is great to see. And when it comes to Jonathan Kaminga in this matchup, he honestly played such an efficient game, which I think is definitely needed from the bench players. Now, obviously, when it comes to bench players, you're not going to get 30, 32 minutes per game like the starters, but you are going to get, 15 to 20 minutes, and you need to make the most out of it and be as efficient as possible. And that is what Kaminga definitely did in this matchup. Kaminga not only scored the bucket well, but he did play great on-ball defense, and although it doesn't show up in the stat sheet when it comes to blocks, steals, or anything of that nature, his on-ball defense was definitely second to none. His ability to rotate at times was honestly amazing, and you definitely saw the difference in his capabilities when it came to this game over the last few games where he has been in a little bit of a slump. But when it comes to the Warriors as a whole, I think Jonathan Kuminga still definitely does fit the bill, and Kuminga has mentioned time and time again that this could definitely be his last shot at staying a Warrior before the trade deadline. So I do believe someone like Jonathan Kuminga has definitely shown his stripes, and he definitely is moving in the right direction, which is what we want to see, especially with the Warriors starting to try to find a way to claw back into the playoff picture. The third is Chris Paul becoming a great leader for the role players. Now, as you all know, Chris Paul was actually rumored to be a starter for this season, and they didn't get off to the greatest start when CP3 was in the starting lineup, and they finally moved him into the 6-man role, and I think he is starting to play it fantastically. Now, when it comes to CP3, he didn't put up crazy stats. He did get 2 points and actually 6 assists and also 3 rebounds, which is fantastic, but the way he led that bench, I think, is definitely what
really help this team win. Obviously, CP3 is a great leader, and obviously you have Draymond Green doing that for the starters when it comes to the offense and the defense, and I think CP3 definitely does that for the bench players, whether it's Saric, Kaminga, Moody, Podziemski, the list really does go on and on. But CP3 got 20 minutes in this game, and in the 20 minutes, he honestly played fantastic. Yes, he may not be putting buckets up there, but you definitely see when he's out there with the role players, there's definitely a lot more structure to the offense, which is definitely what that bench needed. When it came to other games that the Golden State Warriors have lost in the past, you definitely see that when the bench players come on, they really have no efficient leader or someone who has experience in the game to run the team, and I think that's why having CP3 coming off the bench, although it may not be his preference since CP3 is definitely a top 5 point guard ever, I do believe CP3 can definitely help this role playing system, and especially help players like Saric, Kaminga, Moody, and Podziemski really come out of their shell, and you definitely noticed in this game definitely what they were capable of doing. Now CP3 as well out there, what I do love about his game is his ability to really find players, especially when they are not just open but also with they're comfortable with, and we've seen this time and time again. I think that's one of the reasons why some of the bench players had some of the greatest efficiencies in this game. You had Dario who shot 4 from 7, Kuminga who went perfect 6 from 6, Moody shot 50% from the field, which is fantastic, and because of that I do believe CP3 not only just gets assists, but he's able to find his players in his best motion and in the best way possible to make them as highly efficient as possible, and I think that's something that is so underrated about CP3's game and something that definitely does go unnoticed. The fourth is Stephen Curry continuing to play at an MVP level. Now as you all know, Steph Curry is definitely getting older by the day, and a lot of NBA analysts do believe that it may be time for Stephen Curry to give the reins to someone else, but he's proved all of them wrong because Stephen Curry is still playing at a very, very high level, and he definitely showed that in this game against the Portland Trailblazers. Now when it came to Portland, Stephen Curry torched them, scoring 31 points while also getting 5 rebounds and also 1 assist. Now on top of this, guy, he also shot 5 from 13 from the 3 and went 10 from 11 from the free throw line, which is great to see, and on top of that went 8 from 18 in total. So he did have a fantastic game all around. He definitely is more of a scorer nowadays rather than doing everything out there on the floor, but I think that is definitely where Stephen Curry really does his best, when he can just focus on scoring, getting buckets up, and that's why he was shooting at such an efficient rate, and I think that can continue on throughout the season. Definitely having Draymond back being the point guard is definitely helped a lot, but when it comes to Steph Curry in the whole, I do believe he is starting to play a lot more efficient than he did back in the day. You know, when he was a little bit more younger, he had a bit of youth behind him and can run pretty much everywhere. He still does that now, but you can definitely see the way he plays is definitely more efficient, more simple, and can get you a 30 bomb very, very easily. So Steph Curry definitely needs to continue to play at this level, but I'm highly confident he definitely can. He did a fantastic job in this game, and although he wasn't a point guard, you know, only getting 1 assist, I do believe that now that Chris Paul's in the team and Draymond is back in the lineup, he definitely can just focus on scoring, which I think is great for his game and really does help him just shoot more and more efficiently. Now when it comes to Curry's defense, I think it is something that is so underrated, but he did a fantastic job on defense as well. When it came to the Portland Trailblazers, although they aren't the greatest team, they really did a great job at restricting points when they could. Now obviously these are NBA players, Portland Trailblazers are going to score. Now they did only end up winning by 5, but I think they still did a fantastic job, and you know, Portland Trailblazers such as Simmons and Sharp were just hitting some tough shots. So because of that, in total, I do believe Curry had a great performance, and I do believe he can continue it on throughout the rest of the season.
The fifth is Moses Moody finally becoming more of a scorer. Now I did talk about this when it comes to Jonathan Kaminga. Obviously Kaminga is supposed to be an all-out superstar one day. There's so much potential behind him, and that pretty much goes for the same with Moses Moody as well. People see Moody and Kaminga as being the next stars for Golden State Warriors one day, maybe when Steph, Klay, and also Draymond Green leave or retire, but when it comes to Moody, I think he's starting to finally find his strides on the offensive end. Moody has always been a great defender, and he definitely showed that in this game. He had 1 steal, 1 block, and 4 rebounds, but where I really was impressed with Moses Moody was definitely on the scoring side of things. Now Moses Moody had himself 12 points in this game. He also went 5 from 10, so shot 50% from the field, which I think is fantastic, and also had 1 from 1 from the free throw line as well. Now when it comes to Moody, I think he's going
going to be a huge asset for the Golden State Warriors moving forward, but also moving forward throughout this season. He's definitely going to need a step up, especially for the bench players, since Jordan Poole, who was the main scorer off the bench, is no longer here. Chris Paul is a great addition, do not get me wrong, but Chris Paul is not a scorer, and that's why players like Kaminga, like Moody, need to take on that burden on themselves, that they need to finally score and give us 10-15 points per game. They don't need to be putting up Jordan Poole numbers where Poole would have games where he'd go for 30 or 28 points, but I do believe we get 15 from Kaminga, 10, 15 from Moody, and even a couple from Saric. I definitely see the Golden State Warriors bench being just as lethal. So I do believe it is very important for all 10 players to be great scorers. I think Moody is finally starting to show that and finally starting to show his strides. It is great to be a great defender, do not get me wrong, but when it comes to the offensive end, being Moody and being a scorer will definitely help other players like Curry get open, like Thompson, or even like Wiggins. So I think it is going to be a huge asset moving forward, especially when it comes to the playoff time, as the Golden State Warriors are pushing for the top 8.